Namaskaram. Welcome to Pronatify, where we teach Malayalees pronunciation, articulation, and the art of speaking with confidence. In this video, I'm going to take you through some of the common reasons why we Malayalees have that infamous Malayali accent. To begin with, I'm going to show you pictures of two people from Kerala. Have a look. On the left, you have Dr. Shashi Tharoor, and I'm sure that you all know him. He needs no introduction. But do you know the person on the right? If you're a 90s kid, then you'll probably remember her from Channel V. She was one of the VJs. And this particular character was called Lola Kuti. Now, they both have one thing in common for which they're famous. That is the way they speak. Let's listen to both of them.
Standing here with 8 minutes in my hands and at this venerable and rather magnificent institution, I was going to assure you that I belong to the Henry VIII School of Public Speaking. That as Henry VIII said to his wives, I shall not keep you long.
My name is Lola Kuti. Now this is not a humble brag, but people have named pets after me. Cats after me, dogs after me, Lola Kuti. Even some restaurants have been named after me. Now I hear that.
On one hand, we have Dr. Tharoor, probably one of the best speakers of this language in India, arguably one of the best in the world. On the other, we have Lola Kuti. Though she exaggerates, a lot of us Malayalis, unfortunately, speak quite similar to that. Now, when I was younger, I used to hate this character, Lola Kuti, because she was a reference point for people around me in those days, quite a lot of people from the northern part of the country. And they used to make fun of us Malayalis by using her as a reference point. A couple of years later, I attended a few interviews. I was rejected, one after the other. And the feedback I got was that I had MTI. And I had no clue what that meant. Later, I came to know that MTI stood for Mother Tongue Influence. Mother Tongue Influence basically is the way your pronunciation changes because of the influence of your first language. It is considered a derogatory term. The actual term would be first language influence. Whatever your first language is, whenever you speak another language, majority of the people have the influence of their first language. It's not just something limited to Malayalees. But if you look at the way people are mocked for their accent, then we Malayalees are probably the most mocked one, particularly in our country. Why is that? Let's look at some of the reasons. One reason, accept it or not, is that there are not many other areas where people can mock a Malayali. Because, the first reason is an interesting one. Actually, if you look at it, no Malayali, no Malayalam. Malayalam arnyola pinnalla English. Now, look at these names. Lata. But what do we call them? Lada. Now, egg. Mutta. We call it Motta. And crocodile, mutala. We call it modala or motala or modala. So, see, Malayalam is a phonetic language. What we write is what we speak in a phonetic language. English is not a phonetic language where the spelling can be very different from the pronunciation. But even in Malayalam, what we do is we do not pronounce the words correctly. Like I said, her name is Lata. പക്ഷേ നമ്മൾ എന്താണ് വിളിക്കുന്നത്? Lada. Why? If you ask someone to give you some words that Malayalees mispronounce, I'm sure that the word simple will come up in the top 3. Most of us call it symbol. Be humble and simple in the temple of love. Love, actually. Yeah. So now, when I tried typing this word, it was interesting because it took me many tries to get it the way we write in Malayalam. So I've given it here. Now you see, there are 2 problems here itself. Let's see if you can identify it. One, I think I have solved it for you, the ending of it. But there's another problem there as well. So this actually is called transliteration. The process of writing something in one language in another language. So basically, Englishilullathu nammal Malayaalathil ezhudumbol, that becomes transliteration. So what happens is, when we have a lot of these transliteration around us, nammal vaayikkunnathu nammal kandupadikkum. Let me give you some examples. These are some of the ways you find these English words written in Malayalam, and it's natural for you to acquire the pronunciation of these words the way they are written. And the first one is an interesting one, bag. Now, bag is written in so many different ways. I've even seen it written as bag. If I pronounce it in Malayalam, it becomes more like bag. And parcel, office, oil, college, chocolate. You see, so when this is what you see from your childhood, and you're going to register this in Malayalam the way you see it. And what happens is, when you speak in English, these pronunciations that you acquired will naturally come up in your speech. Let me ask you this question. How many letters are there in the English alphabet? I'm sure you know the answer. How about this? How many sounds are there in the English language? Do you know? Do you know how many sounds are there in Malayalam? Now, this is the actual reason for all the problems in pronunciation. In English, there are 44 sounds. And in Malayalam, I don't know. It's quite difficult to count all of them. And in different places you find a different set of letters. In short, we have too many sounds. For example, if you look at the consonants, we have ka, ka, ikka, and then we also have an inga. But in English, we only have ka. Just one sound. Now, the pronunciation will vary depending on what kind of sounds come after. But when we have too many sounds, that will definitely cause problems. Now, when we talk about too many sounds, it also means that we have some extra sounds. For example, in Malayalam, we have sounds that I think no other language has got.
താൻ ഇവിടെ കിടന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ മൂക്കുകൊണ്ട് ഇച്ച ഇങ്ങ തട്ട ജഡ്ജ ഞഞ്ഞ തട്ട ജഡ്ജ ഞണ്ട തട്ട ജഡ്ജ വരയ്ക്കും.
Let's now look at some of these problems in detail. For example, in Malayalam, we have these things called chillaksharangal. I don't know what you can call them in English, like n, n, l, r, il. I guess I'm pronouncing the Malayalam letters correctly. Now, in English, we don't really have them, Sometimes, like for example, moon. Yeah, but then it's not similar to the in Malayalam. In English, it's moon. And then we have doubling that happens. For example, if you have two cars in Malayalam, it becomes ikka. But in English, it would still be a car. Two la will become illa, and in English, it will still be la. If you look at, then we also have a la. I don't think there is a la in English. And then we double that la as well, becomes la. So college is a problem because we have a la, but in English there is no la, so it becomes college. And then we also have these very heavy sounds. For example, inda, itta, itta, and so on. And what happens when we speak in English? We find a similar kind of pattern and we use the heavier ones, the mass. This next one is an interesting one because in most Indian languages we only have one sound. But the way we Malayalis speak, it becomes really weird for some reason. So in English, you have the w sound as well as the v sound. But in English, in Malayalam, we only have the va. So it's supposed to be water instead of water, and love alla, love. You see the difference? Love is not love, it's love. Yeah. So in Malayalam there's only one va, but in English there are two different sounds. So in general we say you need to kiss your W's and bite your V's. So the thing is, the beauty of pronunciation in English depends on how well you do your vowel sounds. Now, when I say vowel sounds, they're not vowels, I don't even understand why they teach vowels like A, E, I, O, U. There's no particular reason for teaching that. That should be abolished. Instead, we all should be learning the sounds, like the vowel sounds. And in English, they are also complex vowels or diphthongs. Basically, they are combinations of two different vowel sounds coming together, acting as one unit. For example, O or I. So you don't say nose, you say nose. And you don't say I, you say I. And you don't say mouth, you say mouth. So if you want to actually pronounce English better, you will have to work on these vowel sounds. Now in Malayalam, we also have a lot of vowel sounds. However, the functioning of these vowel sounds are quite different from the way the vowel sounds work in English. And that is the only way we can get closer to the English way of speaking as possible. Now, see, these are some of the problems that we found out after doing a lot of research. And the reason for doing the research is that when we actually tried looking it up, we couldn't find enough information. No one has actually put in an effort to find the actual reasons for the Malayali accent. Everyone is like very interested in mocking it, and many of us Malayalis also join the laughter club. Now, how can we fix it? The first step is realization. So when we know we have a problem, it's very easy to fix it. Now, how can we? Now, I'm sure that if you watch this video so far, you must have understood that you probably have the problem. The next step is identifying the problem. In order to do that, what you need to do is you need to pull up a voice recorder. You can do that on your phone as well. And then speak about any topic for about 1 to 2 minutes. Record it. After that, sit down, play it back, listen to it, and make a note of the words where you think there is a problem. However, if you do not know the sounds correctly, this is going to be quite challenging. Yet, this is a very powerful technique because I personally used it. Remember, like I said earlier, I struggled with pronunciation a long time ago. And what I did was lock myself up in a room. I would read passages, record it, listen to it, identify the sound problems, and then started fixing them one after the other. For that, you can use something called alliteration passages, where the same sound is repeated over and over again. So, you can use these passages. For example, a fashionably tanned man sat casually at the bath stand, lashing a handful of practice bats. Is something that I practiced like probably about 2 decades ago. Yet I remember that is the power of practice. And then you need to record yourself. This is the feedback. When you record yourself and you listen to yourself, you would be able to check the improvement and fix the problems. After all this, some of you might be wondering,
എനിക്കറിയാൻ മേലാത്തോണ്ട് ചോദിക്കുക താൻ ആരുവാ?
well, my name is JJ. I've been a teacher and trainer of this language for close to 2 decades now. And if I have to give a full introduction of myself, that will take a very long time. So I'm just going to add a few bits and pieces of my experience on the screen for you to watch. Well, in short, I like to call myself a teacher. I love to teach. And there's a particular reason for me coming up with this mission right now, because of a recent conversation I had with a friend of mine. So this is a mission to help Malayalees get rid of that infamous Malayali accent. So the easiest way to help yourself is to join a course with me. So I'll help you get rid of your heavy accent. I'll help you learn to pronounce better. See, I do not speak with an accent. What I do is I pronounce the words as close to English as possible. Though I have learned to speak with an accent in the past, I had given it up. So the course that we have is a very practical one. It is custom made for the Malayali audience. Everything that we have is directly linked to the way pronunciation works in English and how it is different from the way it works in Malayalam. And because we are Malayalees and we have put in all the effort to make sure that it works, it will work and it'll work very well. Remember, I know the pain. I've been there. I've done that. And it doesn't really take a lot of time to fix your problems. All we need is your dedication and your commitment, and we will give you the best possible solution to fix this problem for good. Let's remove this perudosham. 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 Yeah. Thank you.